All right, everybody. Welcome to another sort of episode of Psycho's Platters. Always powered by coffee each and every time, guaranteed. This one here is going to be a contest response video, okay? I tripped on this. I subscribe to a lot of channels, guys. And the one I want to talk about here that the contest response is going to be for is N.C.Vinyl Picker, aka Art. Ladies and gentlemen, a very cool channel. Go check this guy out. I have seen a couple of his episodes. I think he's awesome. Awesome, I say. What he does is really, really good. Now, he is having a contest currently right now. From now till about, if I remember correctly, I think he said the 15th of November. And it says, "Show me your promo records contest." Now, basically he went off and he says, "Hey, show 5. Well, I'm a brat. I got 6. You know, I have an added bonus at the end here. But they're all albums, okay, and they're all various states of promos. So I wrote things down because that's just kind of how I am. I need my research. My first album, I wanted to try doing all different kinds of things. I hope you guys enjoy this too, by the way. Go sub to Art. So the first album that I happen to have here, ladies and gentlemen, Soul Gold, Volume 1. This came out in December 1968 on the SSS International label. SSS International was Shelby Singleton. Yeah, Shelby Singleton, who was in the record business for many, many years. He had this label. He had Plantation Records also for his country western output, but the SSS was for his soul and funk and R&B and tinges of jazz. Then he would, of course, purchase Sun Records. This is, of course, in a gatefold here. Not a big fan of the Unipack, but I have to kind of show you this because this does not state on the cover that it's a promo. Now, remember, I went off and I said that this is December 1968. This is on a beautiful white label promo. This thing, I am not kidding you, is extremely clean. It is nice and minty. I did play this thing once or twice. There is some, if you love soul and funk, go dig through this on YouTube. I think you would be very pleasantly surprised, especially, I wrote a couple names down. Johnny Adams. Johnny Adams is a really good soul singer. I like the duet of Peggy Scott, and JoJo Benson. I found some 45s even on the SSS promos for that matter too, and grabbed some of those even. Mickey Murray, he had a hit on this label in '67, and then lastly, I know it seems a little goofy, but Syl Austin is on here. Now I know you're like, well, Syl Austin. Syl Austin had a history. I mean, he was a jazz saxophonist. Going back, let's see, I had an album of his on Mercury Records, I remember, and it was actually really pleasant. I liked it. And in fact, I happen to have a Syl Austin still sealed from 1970 in my collection. The SSS International label pretty much was 1966 to 1970. For the strength of that label before, like I said, Plantation ended up being more acquired, and then by 1973, Sun Records for Shelby. I found that album, by the way, in an estate sale under a table. There was not much for me to grab, but that was one of them. As soon as I saw white label promo, I'm like, holy crap, I know this was going to be good. This next one, I brought this up in a stream not too long ago. It had to do with the death of Don Everly, the other Everly brother, that survived 7 years past his brother Phil's death. Okay, Everly Brothers, I always had a soft spot for them, the 50s Cadence recordings, okay? The 60s Warner Brothers stuff does not, in my opinion, get enough love. When I found this on sale in an antique mall here in town, I didn't even spend $10 for this, but this is one of my favorites from the Warner Brothers period. Two Yanks in England, that's right. where it's happening, the Everly Brothers are happening. 2 Yanks in England. This is the front. This is the back. Now this here, beautiful white label promo. Okay, white label promo on this puppy here. Just totally beautiful. I love it. And so this here, of course, being mono promo. Now, the thing that I thought that was very, very cool about this album, and I remember hearing whispers about this, and then I did my research, was that this came out in July 1966, all right? They put out 2 singles from this album, but neither of them charted, all right? So who's backing the Everly Brothers on this album? Most of the Hollies. That's right. So your 1966 line of the Hollies is on here. Half of Led Zeppelin. Yeah, half of Led Zeppelin. Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones are on this thing. A piano player by the name of Reginald Dwight. Oh, who's Reginald Dwight? Well, gee, I'd say about 18 months later, he turned into Elton John. That's right. So you got a pre-Elton John on here. Andy White. Now, it's not Yes's Andy White, I'm led to believe. It is the other session drummer at that time, Andy White, the one who was on Love Me Do for the Beatles. That Andy White supposedly is on here. And then on 4 tracks that ended up getting overdubs and also recorded in California, you've got Glenn Campbell and James Burton are on 4 tracks of this too. This is probably truthfully one of my favorite Everly Brothers albums, out of all honesty, after listening to this. And just knowing all of the musicality that is on this thing. If you're an Everly Brothers fan, I recommend you get this. It is out on CD too. I don't know if they ever did a vinyl reissue of this. I know, like I said, Bear Family went and did the CD treatment on this thing. But like I said, or if you just happen to like mid-60s English, you know, the Brit Invasion, you'll hear the sound behind these guys. Totally, totally awesome. This next one I picked up, another estate sale, completely different estate sale here in town. When I saw this sucker, I just could not believe this. I'm like, what? Hang on a second. Turn notes. From 1965, G. Norman Group, Dylan Jazz on GNP Crescendo. That's right. Here, featuring the compositions of Bob Dylan. Here's the front. Here's the back. And like I said, this was done in 65. Beautiful, near minty, white label promo. I enjoy this album. I really, really do. I'm a Dylan fan to begin with, but I really like the treatment that they did on this album. Now, the thing that kind of sort of surprised me a little bit, and I didn't know this until I did my research, is that you've got a couple members of the Wrecking Crew all over this thing. Glenn Campbell plays guitar on all the tracks. Hal Blaine does drumming on most of this album, and then Leon Russell is co-producer on this thing. Go check it out. I think you'll enjoy it, out of all honesty. But Dylan Jazz from the G. Norman Group. Album number 4? Well, I wanted to go a little bit more closer to home, in proximity and in my heart. I'm from the Chicagoland area. Yes, there's a difference between Chicago and Chicagoland, okay? There just is. And I always tried to support my local bands growing up. Now, I'm 54 years old, alright? So, 70s, 80s, 90s was when I tried to support all the local stuff. This album here, I picked this up at a garage sale for, I think it was like $2-3. It was I couldn't believe I found this, and it was down here that I found this, in Arkansas, not in Illinois. This one here, gold stamp promo on the front here, you'll see, from 1977, Pez Band. That's right, Pez Band on Passport Records. This is the front, this is the back, and you know what? grab all the Pez Band albums you can. They did 3 albums, alright, and then they did a live EP. They were pretty much around from about 72, 73 to about 83. And then they shut down for close to 30 years. I mean, you know, Mike Gorman and Mimi Bentness, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, they ended up dabbling with Off-Broadway, which is another excellent power pop band. On this first album here, Clarence Clemens from the E Street Band makes a guest appearance on one track. The Brecker Brothers from jazz, they also show up on here too. So if you like great power pop, check out Pez Band. I do not think you'll be disappointed in that. Now, album number 5. You know, I remember hearing about this band, and I know you're going to sit here going, well, you know, most people know that the Mighty Psycho is a huge Monkees fan. But, saying that, in 1987, which of course, the Monkees were reunited in 86, they put out That Was Then, This Is Now, right? You have everybody minus Mike back in the band, cranking things back up. Well, some powers of B above this thought it'd be real cute. Hey, guess what? Since the Monkees are going out, let's go off and try something familiar yet different. And we're going to go off and have the new Monkees. That's right. This one here, gold stamp promo on the side. Here's the front. Here's the back. And I'm going to tell you, only 13 episodes out of the 22. They were scheduled for 22 episodes. Only 13 were made before it was canceled. I saw one of the clips. It wasn't good, but it wasn't total shit either. Okay, it's just, here's the thing. The musicality on this album, I love this album. I actually really love this album. Marty Ross is your main person here. He was in a Milwaukee band called The Wigs, which ended up doing movie soundtrack work as well before he got to audition for New Monkees. This is a great power pop album for the late 80s, alright? If it was put under anybody else's name but the New Monkees, I think this thing would have charted. Seriously, it would have at least charted middling, okay? But because the New Monkees Albatross was on these guys, it just didn't happen. Now, some of the songs here, by the way, on this album, some of them written by Tom Cochrane, Red Rider, you know, Lunatic Fringe Red Rider, and solo, of course, Life is a Highway. He wrote some stuff for them. Mike Slamer, who was in City Boy. He also was in Streets with Steve Walsh in the 80s. He wrote some stuff here too. They also perform on this album too as well. Also performing on here, Dan Huff, who of course he was in the band Giant. Also the Tower of Power horn section is on this thing on a handful of tracks. And playing mandolin, Fred Tackett, who mainly was prominent in Little Feat in the 80s lineup and such. Really, go seek this out. I think you would enjoy it, honestly, if you like late 80s pop. A pleasant surprise. Okay, that was 5 of them, right? Here's the bonus 6th. It was really hard for me to come up with stuff but I wanted to go a little goofy. So the 6th one, I picked up at an antique mall. I don't even think I paid $10 for this thing. And I'm a sucker for bubblegum music. So when I found from 1971, Presenting Sugar Bears. Yeah, that's right, Mr. Can't get enough of Super Sugar Golden Crisp. So, yeah, they figured, okay, let's market this to kids. Let's see if we can get some music going, crack-a-lacka, get it going here. Here's the front, here's the back. on Big Tree Records. Now I know you can't really tell very well maybe, but it does say DJ copy not for sale on the label. Basically who you've got on here, in essence, this is Kim Carnes' first crack at solo work, because Kim Carnes and Mike Settle, who's in here, they were both in Kenny Rogers' The First Edition, alright? Mike McGinnis is on here too, if I remember correctly. Mike McGinnis and Mike Settle were in the New Christie Minstrels, alright? So, you actually, I was very pleasantly surprised about how good this album really is. Some of the bubblegum stuff, you just don't know. You know, you're used to like the hit singles of the Archies and Ohio Express and stuff like that. But then stuff like this and the Hardy Boys on RCA, they fall through the cracks. And so, Sugar Bears, very, very cool. So, that was my last one. So once again, go sub and go participate in N.C.Vinyl Picker aka Arts contest you've got between now and November 15th. Alright, I hope I did really well. I hope in this response video. And for everybody out there, take care, God bless, rock on, and see you next time, and have a cup on me.